Many of us feel that our salah has become mechanical, a habit devoid of heart. We perform our movements, we utter the words, but something inside feels hollow. It is as if the light of our prayer has dimmed, and our soul quietly cries for connection. Why is this happening? Sometimes it is because we allow distractions, worldly worries, and inner doubts to cloud our hearts. The Quran reminds us, but when they forget Allah, He lets them forget themselves. Those are the defiantly disobedient. Surah Al-Hashr 19. Pause for a moment. Understand that this disconnect is not the end. It is a signal, a wake-up call. Allah in His infinite mercy is inviting you back. Just as a shepherd notices when a lamb strays from the flock, Allah notices when His servant drifts away. And just as He guides the lost back, He is ready to guide you at the perfect moment to reconnect with the source of your life. Imagine for a moment a person walking through a desert, exhausted and parched. They are about to give up when, in the distance, they see the faint glimmer of an oasis. That oasis is Salah. It is a place of rest, of nourishment, of renewal. Each prayer is like taking a sip of cool water. It revives you, restores clarity, and gives you strength to continue your journey. But here is the urgency. Every moment we postpone this reconnection, we risk wandering further into despair, confusion, and the whispers of shaitan. Salah is not just a ritual, it is a lifeline. When performed with sincerity, it shields us from despair, guides us through our struggles, and even transforms our destiny. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The first matter that the servant will be brought to account for on the day of judgment is the prayer. If it is sound, then the rest of his deeds will be sound." Real-life examples are everywhere. Consider a person who lost everything, their career, their relationships, their sense of purpose. It was only when they returned to Allah in humble, consistent prayer that they began to see the path ahead. Doors opened where none existed, guidance arrived in ways they could not have imagined, and hope rekindled in the deepest corners of their heart. This is not coincidence. This is the mercy of Allah at work, the power of Salah that can save your life. So how do we rebuild? Start small, start intentional. Focus on your connection with Allah, rather than the mechanics of prayer. Reflect on the words you say. Picture standing before your Creator, trusting that every word, every movement, every moment is seen and cherished by Him. Surrender fully, knowing that He will send the right signs at the right time. And remember, each effort you make, no matter how small, is never wasted. Allah rewards the sincere step toward Him. Even when we stumble, He catches us, He lifts us, and He restores us. Salah is the bridge between despair and hope, between loss and abundance, between the chaos of life and the serenity of divine guidance. When we speak of Salah, we often think of it as a ritual, something we are obligated to perform 5 times a day, a duty that occupies our mornings, afternoons, and nights. Yet for many of us, Salah has become something far less than what it was intended to be. It has become mechanical, repetitive, and often performed with a distracted mind and a restless heart. We go through the motions, we stand, bow, and prostrate, but there is a hollowness inside, a sense that our connection to Allah is slipping through our fingers like water. This feeling is not unique, and it is not a mark of failure. Rather, it is a divine signal, a subtle wake-up call from Allah Himself, reminding us that our relationship with Him requires presence, attention, and sincerity. When we lose that presence, it is often because of the distractions that life continuously places before us. The Quran reminds us of the fleeting nature of this worldly life, and the dangers of becoming absorbed in it. Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion, and adornment and boasting to one another, and competition in increase of wealth and children, like the example of a rain, whose resulting plant growth pleases the tillers. Then it dries, and you see it turned yellow. Then it becomes scattered debris. And in the hereafter is severe punishment and forgiveness from Allah and approval. And what is the worldly life, except the enjoyment of delusion? Surah Al-Hadid 20. Often we allow this life's diversions to dominate our hearts, and in doing so we forget that Salah is not merely an obligation but a lifeline, a direct connection to the one who created us, sustains us, and knows us more intimately than we know ourselves. The disconnect in our Salah often begins subtly. Perhaps we arrive at the prayer with our mind already racing with worries about work, family, or finances. Perhaps we find ourselves rushing through the words, reciting without understanding, bowing without reflection, and prostrating without humility. Over time, this mechanical repetition dulls our hearts, leaving a sense of emptiness and frustration. We may even feel anger or guilt toward ourselves, wondering why we cannot maintain the devotion that we once had. Yet it is precisely in these moments of struggle that Allah's mercy is most profound. He does not abandon His servants. Rather, he sends subtle signs to remind us to return, to reconnect, and to find life again in the very act we may have taken for granted. Consider the story of a person who prays, but feels distant, as if their prayers go unheard. They may be unaware that this distance is not punishment, but an invitation. Allah tests the heart, allowing the believer to recognize the fragility of their connection and the need to cultivate sincerity. Just as a gardener carefully tends to plants, ensuring they receive water, sunlight and care, Allah nurtures our souls, sometimes through discomfort, so that when we return to Him with genuine devotion, our faith blossoms stronger than before. Every distraction we overcome, every restless moment we acknowledge, and every sincere attempt to refocus our attention in Salah, strengthens the bond between the servant and the Creator. When we begin to truly recognize this disconnect, it is essential to approach it not with despair, but with awareness and intention. Awareness means acknowledging the truth of our present state, without excusing negligence, but also without self-condemnation. Intention means deciding, consciously, to seek a deeper connection, to treat Salah not as an obligation to check off a list, but as a sacred dialogue with Allah. Each prayer is a chance to realign our hearts, to whisper our fears, hopes and gratitude before the one who knows them all, and to receive guidance, solace and strength in return. The very fact that we recognize our Salah has fallen apart is itself a sign of mercy, for Allah only allows awareness to those who are capable of turning back to Him. It is a reminder that He is always present, always inviting, and always ready to accept the smallest effort of sincerity. This recognition is the first step on a journey that can save our hearts, transform our lives, and reconnect us with the ultimate purpose for which we were created. Salah is often described as the pillar of our faith, the foundation upon which our entire spiritual life rests. Yet the power of Salah is not merely in the physical actions we perform, but in the presence and consciousness with which we approach it. Many of us pray, but we fail to recognize the profound impact that full awareness, mindfulness, and heart-centered devotion can have on our lives. The difference between a prayer that moves the heart and one that merely fills time is the difference between life and death in the spiritual sense, the difference between guidance and drift, between hope and despair. When we speak of presence in Salah, we refer to khushu, a term the Quran uses to describe humility, concentration and reverence in prayer. Allah commands, "Successful indeed are the believers, those who offer their Salah with humility and devotion." Surah Al-Mu'minun 1-2. Presence in Salah is more than an internal feeling. It is a complete surrender of the mind and soul, an alignment of every thought, intention and action toward the worship of the Creator. It is knowing that when we stand in prayer, we are standing before Allah, the most merciful, the most knowing, the one who perceives the whispers of our hearts and the sincerity of our intentions. The challenge is that achieving this presence is not easy. Our minds are often clouded with worries, our hearts weighed down by regrets, and our bodies restless from the busyness of life. We may stand in prayer, but our thoughts wander to tomorrow's tasks, yesterday's mistakes, or fleeting desires. Yet it is precisely in these moments of struggle that the opportunity for transformation lies. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The prayer is a shield, so keep it between yourself and misguidance." When we fight against distraction and strive to center ourselves in Salah, we are not only fulfilling an obligation, we are building an armor of protection, a spiritual refuge that shields us from the turmoil of life and the whispers of Shaitan. Presence in Salah transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. Consider a person overwhelmed by grief or anxiety, feeling trapped by circumstances beyond their control. When they approach prayer with full awareness, something miraculous begins to occur. Each bow becomes a release of tension, each prostration a surrender of fear, each recitation of the Quran a balm for the wounded heart. The body aligns, the heart softens, and the mind finds clarity. This is not merely metaphorical. Countless individuals have testified that when they immerse themselves in mindful Salah, doors of opportunity open, burdens are lifted, and guidance arrives in ways they could never have anticipated. The physical actions of Salah, standing, bowing, prostrating and sitting, are not mere movements. They are a language of submission and love, a conversation with Allah, expressed through the body as well as the soul. Each posture carries meaning, symbolism, and spiritual weight. Standing is a declaration of awareness and readiness to obey. Bowing is humility and recognition of our smallness before Allah's greatness. Prostration is ultimate submission, where the face touches the ground and the heart reaches for mercy. And sitting is reflection, contemplation and hope. When performed with presence, these acts become lifelines, connecting the believer directly to divine guidance and support. Presence in Salah also teaches patience. discipline and rules. In a world that constantly demands our attention, Salah is a deliberate act of pause, a moment to step away from distraction and realign with purpose. Every effort we make to focus, to quiet the mind, and to engage the heart strengthens not only our spiritual life, but our mental and emotional well-being. The Quran reminds us that Salah is not only an act of worship but a source of tranquility. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Surah Ar-Ra'd 28. The more we practice presence, the more we notice this inner peace, the subtle guidance, and the clarity that flows from aligning our hearts with the divine. Realizing the power of presence in Salah requires reflection, practice and persistence. It is not instantaneous, nor is it achieved through mere repetition. It is cultivated intentionally, through humility, sincerity, and conscious effort, and the reward is immense. A life guided, a heart strengthened, a soul protected, and a spirit illuminated by the constant awareness that every prayer, performed with mindfulness, has the power to transform the very trajectory of our existence. One of the most beautiful aspects of our relationship with Allah is that He never abandons His servants, even when they turn away from Him, even when their hearts grow cold, or when their prayers feel empty. The signs of Allah's mercy are everywhere, woven into the very fabric of our lives, guiding us gently back to Him at the perfect moment. Often we fail to recognize these signs, because we are too preoccupied with our own plans, our own worries, and the illusions of control over our lives. Yet Allah's guidance is subtle, deliberate, and filled with will. He nudges us, reminds us, and opens doors that we cannot even see, showing us that He is always present, always aware, and always ready to respond to the call of a sincere heart. Sometimes these signs come as whispers in our hearts, moments of reflection that awaken us from spiritual slumber. You may find that during a difficult time, a memory resurfaces of a verse from the Quran, a story of a prophet, or a line of supplication that brings comfort and clarity. At that moment, Allah is speaking directly to your heart, showing you a path when you feel lost, sending guidance when you feel overwhelmed, and illuminating hope when all seems dark. The Quran says, "And we have already sent messengers before you, O Muhammad, among the former peoples, and there never came to them a messenger, but they ridiculed him. Thus do we insert it into the hearts of the criminals." Surah Al-Ashdar 10:12. Allah's signs, however, are not always dramatic. They are often gentle, personal and precise, tailored to awaken the heart, without overwhelming it, designed to bring the believer back to the mercy and guidance of their Lord. Consider the real-life example of someone who feels spiritually lost. Their prayers have become mechanical, their heart distant, and their life filled with uncertainty. Suddenly, in the midst of their routine, they come across a moment, a conversation, a verse, or even a fleeting thought that sparks reflection. Perhaps they see someone displaying kindness, experience an unexpected blessing, or notice a moment of clarity in prayer. These seemingly small events are signs, reminders from Allah, that He has not abandoned them, that His mercy is near, and that the path to reconnecting with Him is always open. Each sign carries meaning, a divine whisper encouraging the heart to awaken, to return, and to seek Him sincerely. Allah's signs are also evident in the timing of our experiences. Life has a rhythm, and the Creator orchestrates events with precision. A missed opportunity, a delayed blessing, or a hardship that feels unbearable may be His way of redirecting us towards something greater, teaching patience, humility and reliance on Him. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Wondrous is the affair of the believer, for there is good for him in every matter, and this is not the case with anyone, except the believer. If he experiences pleasure, he is grateful, and that is good for him. If he is harmed, he is patient, and that is good for him." Allah's signs often arrive disguised as challenges or setbacks, testing our faith and preparing our hearts to recognize His mercy when it manifests. To recognize these signs, we must cultivate awareness and attentiveness in our daily lives. It requires slowing down, reflecting and listening to the heart. Salah, when performed with presence and sincerity, becomes a lens through which we